Mississippi Born, Delta Raised is a podcast that focuses on the intersection of public health and social justice issues in the Mississippi Delta. Daphne Robinson, an attorney and public health professional, is your host. Welcome to this episode of the podcast, Mississippi Born, Delta Raised. In the last episode, I promised that once a month we would explore the topic I've always wondered. In this segment, we will discuss one of those unanswered questions about the Mississippi Delta that we've always wondered about. Last time, I promised that I would tell you about the origin of Brown's Addition, the area that I grew up in. I lived on North 8th Street in Greenville, Mississippi. My neighborhood was bounded by Delta Regional Medical Center to the north, Highway 82 to the south, Coleman Junior High School to the west, and Frisbee Park to the east. In hindsight, the neighborhood was mostly elderly and working-class families. From the early 1970s to the early 1980s, when I lived there, the neighborhood was predominantly African-American, with the exception of several corner grocery stores owned by Chinese American. As a matter of fact, at that time, there were more than 50 Chinese grocery stores owned in Greenville. Their immigration to the Mississippi Delta is a fascinating story. Many people are really surprised to learn that the Mississippi Delta wasn't just black and white. The area was really a magnet for immigrants of Italian, Chinese, Jewish, and Lebanese descent. We will explore more about the diversity of the Mississippi Delta in future episodes. One day, while doing some research about Greenville in 2016, I discovered that Brown's Addition was named for Dr. Earl P. Brown. Dr. Brown was the first African-American physician in Greenville. He was born a slave in Pike County, Mississippi on December 13, 1856, 7 years before the Emancipation Proclamation was signed by Abraham Lincoln. He attended Meharry Medical College and first became a practicing physician in Utica, Mississippi. Not only was Dr. Brown well respected in Utica, he later became the president of Delta Savings Bank. In 1889, he moved to Greenville and became known as one of the wealthiest black men in the state of Mississippi. It is said that one of Dr. Brown's greatest contributions to the city of Greenville was the purchase of 110 acres of land for the purpose of home development. The subdivision was called Brown's Addition, and lots were sold for $10, the equivalent of approximately $300 today. Either way, still a great deal. The purchase of these lots was used to finance what was then called the Negro Manufacturing Commodity and Supply Company. The company would eventually manufacture socks and stockings to be shipped throughout the Deep South. In the book Beacons of Light by Green Polonius Hamilton, he writes, "It is confidently believed that the lots in this edition will double and triple in value in a reasonable length of time after this factory will have been in operation. It will be profitable as well as a philanthropic act for every man to take a personal interest in promoting this great manufacturing enterprise of the race." Booker T. Washington once said, "I have learned that success is to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached in life, but as by the obstacles which he has had to overcome while trying to succeed." This quote epitomizes the life of Dr. E.P. Brown, who went from slavery to becoming a physician to becoming one of the wealthiest men in Mississippi and the developer of an all-black subdivision in the early 1900s. If you'd like to read more about Dr. E.P. Brown, please check out the book Beacons of Light by Green Polonius Hamilton. Be sure to email me at daphne.robinson.jd@gmail.com with questions about your Mississippi Delta community so that I can highlight your questions in an upcoming episode of the podcast. Later this month, we will be leaving Greenville for a little while and heading over to Lampard, Mississippi to talk to Dr. Ashley Jones White about her upcoming project called #Herself, a woman's self-care brunch and pop-up market. She will explain her journey from and back to the Mississippi Delta and what inspired her to develop this event for women of color. Hey, there are thousands of podcasts out there, and you could be listening to any one of them at this moment, but you're here with me, and for that, I say thank you. My name is Daphne Robinson, and I am Mississippi-born, Delta-raised.
This podcast is sponsored by the Center for Public Health and Justice. The Center for Public Health and Justice is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. Its mission is to improve the public health and safety of communities in the Mississippi Delta. To learn more about our services, visit thecenterforpublichealthandjustice.org. This podcast has been a Deuce Vision production.